rehabilitated, and real entertaining. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast.
All right, Justin Pearson is the Carlton Banks of the Tennessee Three, and I want to talk about that. This guy is a complete and utter fraud. There's been video that has come out that shows Justin Pearson at, I believe it's called Bowdoin College in Maine. This video appeared, I think, in 2016, so approximately 7 years ago when he was running for student body president. This guy, again, is a complete and utter fraud. I want you to watch this video because I'm going to show you the transition of what the left does to people in order for them to grow or to excel or climb the political ladder when it comes to the new Democrat Party, which is, in my opinion, the Communist Party. So here's Justin Pearson, one of the Tennessee Three, probably one of the most popular faces of the Tennessee Three. Notice the transition. Again, this guy is a complete and utter fraud. He goes from this face to what I'm going to be calling black preacher face. Gabe, let's roll the clip, por favor, and then I'm going to comment on it.
Hey everybody, I'm Justin J. Pearson, and I'm running for president of BSG. There are a few reasons that we're running this campaign this year. One has to do with representation. How can we represent all voices in a conversation? I wanted to do this by partnering with organizations from the Bowdoin Democrats to the Bowdoin Republicans. I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more conservative, in order that we can reach a point of sort of the radical middle where conversation and dialogue happens and growth happens. Right now, we have tensions on our campus that can only be resolved by understanding one another. And creating those forums and those spaces will be a part of the legacy I hope to lead as the BSG president. BSG must also work better as a liaison between students and administration, not working for administration, but bringing the concerns, the values, and the beliefs of students by listening and engaging with the student body to administration, not for administration. Next, we really want to work on safety and security. This year has shown us the challenges we have on our campus and in the Brunswick community. So I want to make sure that we're working with BPD to Bowdoin Security to make our campus a safer place for all students. And that includes working with people like Benji Douglas to make sure that we're working on sexual assault prevention here on our campus. There are many issues that we can work together to solve. And that includes working on institutionally environmental issues. That includes building better connections with residential life, of which I'm a part. But I can't do this alone. And we can't win this election without you going out and voting. So join the People's Pearson campaign, and let's chart ourselves to a better future. Thank you.
Who does this remind you of? Gabe, cue it up. Who does this remind you of? Who does this remind you of? None other than Carlton Banks. Gabe, go ahead and cue up that video. I'm not trying to say this to be mean. I just want you to understand how phony the left is. This is an actor, Justin Pearson is. This is who Justin Pearson used to be. And then right after this clip, Gabe, I want you to cue up the next one. So this is who Justin Pearson was just 7 short years ago. Go ahead and roll the clip. Por favor, Gabe. We all know Carlton Banks from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's exactly who Justin Pearson was. But it's not politically expedient to be Carlton Banks. So what does Justin Pearson do? All right, Gabe, let's cut this video. Now let's watch who Justin Pearson, who the left has transformed Justin Pearson into, this fake, this phony, this fraud that's in black preacher face nowadays. One of the Tennessee Three, allegedly the most popular of the Tennessee Three. Now here's Justin Pearson and black preacher face. Let's roll the tape, por favor, Gabe.
We and you are seeking to expel District 86's representation from this House in a country that was built on a protest. In a country that was built on a protest. You who celebrate July 4th, 1776, pop fireworks and eat hot dogs. You say to protest is wrong. because you spoke out of turn, because you spoke up for people who are marginalized. You spoke up for children who won't ever be able to speak again. You spoke up for parents who don't want to live in fear. You spoke up for Larry Thorne, who was murdered by gun violence. You spoke up for people that we don't want to care about. In a country built on people who speak out of turn, who spoke out of turn, who fought out of turn to build a nation. I come from a long line of people who have resisted.
Guys, I want you to understand what the left does. This guy is Carlton Banks in black preacher face. That's who Justin Pearson is. This guy is a fake. He's a phony. He's a fraud. He's an actor, but he has no choice except to be a fake, a phony, and a fraud if he wants to move up the Democrat ladder. Who does this remind you of? Can you say an Obama-esque? Can you say Hillary Clinton putting on that preacher, twang, Southern preacher twang? Al Gore putting on that Southern preacher twang? That's what the left does. Ocasio-Cortez, she even did it. This is what the left does. These people are a bunch of fakes. They are a bunch of frauds. Here's what's happening with this guy before we go on with this clip. I want you to understand what's happening. This guy grew up in a privileged home. Apparently, his father is a pastor, well-to-do, a pastor from what I've read. This guy grew up in a middle-class, upper-middle-class area. He attended Bowdoin College. Again, the Bowdoin College campus is a predominantly white campus. $60,000 a year. $60,000 a year. So this guy spent $250,000 going to this Bowdoin College, which is in Maine. I believe it's pronounced Bowdoin. Bowdoin in Maine. So what's happening here? See, here's what I want you to understand. If you're a black Democrat trying to move up the ladder, but you happen to be, well-to-do and privileged, that isn't gonna fly. If you go back to his video or recall his video that we played at the beginning of the podcast, Gabe and I, where he's at Bowdoin College running for the student body president. This guy is talking about unity. He's bright. He's articulate. He's clean. Like Joe Biden said of Barack Obama, he's not just articulate. He's eloquent. You can tell the guy is extremely smart when it comes to speech. He's a great looking guy, well-dressed guy, all of that. But he doesn't feel at home in the Democrat Party. Why? Because he's privileged. He's privileged. And as a black young man, his family has obviously done well adapting, or I shouldn't say adapting. They've obviously done well in America. They've obviously done well. This guy, I guarantee you, feels disconnected to the Democrat Party of today. So what did he have to do? He had to abandon his authentic self. Why did he have to abandon his authentic self? I want you to hear this. I want you guys to hear this. He had to abandon his authentic self because the radical left or the left will not accept you for who you are. They will only accept you for what you are willing to do for them. This guy is a fake. He's a phony. He's a fraud. And they are using the Tennessee Three and the Democrats. And shame on you, Tennessee GOP, for allowing these fools to use these Saul Alinsky tactics. So now we're not even talking about the Nashville Six that were murdered by a radical leftist. He doesn't know what it's like to struggle. This fool should win an Academy Award, although I don't think he's that great of an actor, but apparently plenty of people are falling for it. There's more video of him out there. Even the way he moves his body, the way he speaks, it's like he's trying to pretend as if he's a Martin Luther King Jr. or maybe a Malcolm X. Isn't it fascinating that these guys have to hearken all the way back, over 50 years to try to pretend and imitate a Martin Luther King Jr. Isn't that amazing? That tells you that all of that in between time, a whole lot of unity between blacks and other minorities and whites was taking place. Because they always have to go back to that era, talk like that they're in that era, pretend like they're in that era, pretend like they're in the 60s civil rights era. When this fool has grown up absolutely privileged. These people are an utter joke. They are an utter joke. $60,000 a year. predominantly white university that this guy has gone to. And again, I want you to understand what is happening here. The left will not accept you as you are. They will only accept you if you're they will only accept you to the extent of what you're willing to do for them. That's who the left is. Now, how was this guy transformed? I've been reading plenty of articles on this guy. This guy went to a, let me see if I can, now I don't have the article. I printed the article and I didn't even bring it. Okay, so basically he went to Princeton and he interned, I believe it was for the summer, or went to some program in Princeton, at Princeton University for the summer, which was a Woodrow Wilson progressive type school where he learned to be an activist. Isn't that amazing? The Woodrow Wilson, and again, I didn't even bring my notes, which is absolutely insane. You know what? It might be on my. So he went to this school where he learned how to be an activist. And what's ironic is this is the same type stuff that Obama did. When you think about it, Obama, if you recall, no, I don't have it. Obama, if you recall, how did he learn to be an activist? How did he learn to be a community organizer? What happened with Obama? Obama that grew up in Hawaii, Obama that was raised by his white grandmother, by whites predominantly, had an African father that abandoned him, but was raised in privilege in some of the best private schools in the country, and went to one of the most elite universities in the entire world. What happened to Obama? See, Obama felt out of place too because he was biracial and he grew up in privilege. Justin Pearson grew up in privilege. So in order for Obama to be accepted, what he had to do, he had to go to Reverend Wright's church in Chicago. And then when he went to Reverend Wright's church in Chicago, he became radicalized. It's no different than what happened with Justin Pearson. And Republicans are still falling for this crap. So Pearson transformed at Princeton, ironically. And then you have Obama that was transformed at Reverend Wright's church. He learned to become a community activist. And these people are using Saul Alinsky tactics, rules for radicals. Notice what's happened in Tennessee. We don't talk about the Nashville Six, and we need to make sure that we're spreading the message about the Nashville Six, but they don't talk about the Nashville Six. Why won't the left, why won't these people talk about the Nashville Six? Because one of their own people murdered them, and they couldn't have that narrative, could they? They had a white chick pretending to be a dude that targeted a Christian school, that targeted Christians and assassinated 6 of them. It was white on white crime, except for one black man at that school. And the left doesn't want that narrative. They don't want that narrative. So what do they do? What do they do? They co-opt the narrative. They change the narrative. They totally ignore the people that were slaughtered by their people because they can't have that narrative out. And I think they set up this thing now that as time passes, I think they set up this thing in the state house in Tennessee because it was all about gun control. It was all about gun control. You had Justin Jones, whom I'll get to in a minute, Gloria Johnson, and you had Justin Pearson, the Carlton Banks of the Tennessee of the Tennessee Three. And so you had all of them in the state house essentially inciting a riot. You had Jones and Pearson, the Justins, using bullhorns or using a bullhorn and a sign. You had people from the outside, little wannabe rioters, coming into the state house getting all rowdy and raucous. And you had Justin Jones on a bullhorn and you had Justin Pearson basically inciting a riot. That's why they originally they were expelled from their committees, not the House yet, but they were kicked off of their committees. Initially their IDs were taken because they didn't follow decorum. This fool is trying to compare it to the Revolutionary War. You see how this is what the left does. This is Saul Alinsky, rules for radicals, tactics, like no one's business, if you will. So I think they essentially, I think they use this crisis against the Republicans. Republicans are always listen to me, Republicans. You're always going to be racist. You're always going to be bigots. You're always going to be sexist. You're always going to be homophobes. That's the way the left is always going to categorize you, not because you are, but because they need that narrative. in order for people to feel empathetic towards their cause. So you just focus on doing the right thing and make sure you're good with God on the upward level so you don't have to worry about the fools to your left. Why don't you do that, Republicans? The Tennessee GOP screwed up. I don't know who this council is that is allowed to vote these people, that were allowed to vote Justin Pearson and Justin Jones back in office, but Tennessee has a super majority. The Republicans have a super majority in the Tennessee legislature. You need to weaken that council. So if you need to kick these fools off again, they can never be reinstated. And don't bow down to the woke mob when they call you racist. I just showed you the video. This guy is a complete and utter fraud. You can see the transgression. He went from unity to divisiveness. He went from we should have conversations to shutting the right out. And why gun control? Black people have no business advocating for gun control. For God's sakes, we were freaking slaves. Why the hell would you advocate for gun control? Why would you advocate for gun control when in urban communities, blacks are killed by criminals with guns and we are left without anything to be able to defend ourselves? How dumb can you be? And let's just throw some stats in there. 2 million people a year use guns to defend their lives. But this doesn't get reported because it would have to be on the news every freaking second. It's amazing. It's amazing. So these people have officially and effectively co-opted the headline that should be still the Nashville Six that were targeted and assassinated by a left-wing kook because they were Christian. But the dumb Republicans, I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of having to go on air or even here in the podcast and talk about the dumb but Republicans getting duped. When are we going to stop falling for this crap? When are we going to start seeing beyond 15 minutes here? It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. We should be honoring the Nashville Six. Not worried about this Carlton Banks here. Both Justin Jones and Pearson were reinstated pending a special election that's going to happen in approximately a month or two. So Republicans, if you're smart, run people against them. Run people against them. I think it'll be extremely difficult to beat them because you've helped to elevate them, but you should run people against them. And you should either, I know you can't dissolve that council. I don't believe you could, but you sure as heck need to weaken their power. So if you ever need to expel someone again, a council can't just reinstate them. So you look like idiots. Oh, and by the way, Gloria Johnson, the white chick, played you guys like a fool. Who's to say that what the Tennessee Three did, the Marxists, who's to say that they didn't just set you guys up from the get-go? So notice both of the Justins had the signs and the bullhorn, but she didn't. So she didn't get expelled. She was spared by one vote. But notice what happened after she was spared. Was she grateful for not being spared, for being able to keep her job? Nope. She played along right with the left. And she said, when asked why was she spared, after she basically begged for her job back and sat there in the House chamber and said and mentioned, hey, I didn't have a bullhorn, all this kind of stuff. Why was she spared? She said because of racism. She said she was spared because she was white. Man, you dumb butt Republicans that played right into their hands. You should have expelled her too. And then you should have refocused your attention on doing rallies for the Nashville Six that were assassinated and targeted by a left-wing white radical kook. And then what you should have proceeded to do right away is get legislation in place that would have put armed guards in front of your schools and metal detectors, better doors, windows, whatever it took to secure your schools statewide right away. You don't wait. You act immediately. You don't give the left an inch. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. This fool, Justin Jones, I was going through a column. This fool, the reason why Justin Jones is known is because he was a rabble rouser during the 2020 George Floyd riots there in Nashville. He punched a cop, allegedly. He was part of their Chaz movement. You know that Chaz where they set up a town and don't obey any laws in the middle of the town square? He was part of that movement. The guy's got a rap sheet of being a rabble-rouser, of being a little rioter, of being a protester, originally from Oakland, California. Then the Speaker of the House out there, a guy by the Speaker Sexton in the State House. You know what happened? He gets a threatening letter from former AG Eric Holder of the Obama administration telling them basically they better reverse course. And because they had trapped themselves by allowing Gloria Johnson to stay in the House, the fools in the Tennessee GOP started backtracking right away. How is it we have a country where the economy is in freaking shambles? The foreign policy is in freaking shambles. Thanks to the inflation, the dollar, thanks to the left, thanks to the Democrat Party. And they are still winning arguments because Republicans are still scared to be called racist. Recognize the times that you are living in. Republicans you're going to lose this freaking country. Just like you completely lost the narrative in Nashville, Tennessee. Realize what the left is doing. Do you think it was a coinky dink that all of a sudden Kamala Harris, that could barely string two sentences together herself, and she doesn't even have dementia, shows up in Nashville to talk about social justice, totally ignoring the Nashville Six? You think it was a coinky dink that between that period of time, Eric Holder sent that threatening letter? They set you guys up. Man, you guys better wake up to what's happening. Understand what's happening. Stop falling for this black preacher face, these Justin Pearsons, these little wannabes of the world. Actually, Justin Pearson, in some regards, I feel sorry for him because that isn't the real Justin Pearson. He doesn't believe the crap that he's spewing. He's saying whatever he has to say to gain power. Why? Because he needs to be affirmed. You see that Justin Pearson that existed at Bowdoin College was not affirmed. But this one is. Who knows? Before you know it, he might have a Bud Light sponsorship or a Nike sponsorship if he keeps on. He'll get all the adulations that he was seeking or that he did not get when he was his authentic self, articulate, clean-shaved. Now he's just playing a role. And honestly, you black people should be insulted. It shows you that someone like Justin Pearson, who grew up in a life of privilege, it shows you what he thinks about poor blacks. That's what it shows you. Right? It shows you that he thinks like a white elite. It's absolutely astonishing to me. Guys, let me share a couple of things with you. First off, my sponsors. Can't do this without my sponsors. MyPillow.com, Mike Lindell, the fabulous company MyPillow. Right now, there's a buy one, get one free offer, all right, for the new MyPillow 2.0. It has the same patented adjusted feel as the original MyPillow, but now it has this new fabric on the outer layer that dissipates heat, so it's softer, it's smoother, and it's cooler. You will absolutely love it. And again, buy one, get one free, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee on all MyPillow products, not to mention American-made products, American jobs, American manufacturing. I absolutely love it. To take advantage of the deal and get your buy one, get one free MyPillow 2.0, go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square at the top of the page, enter my name, Carl, C-A-R-L, or give them a call at 800-858-0263, 800-858-0263. Just real quick, a couple of movies that I want to talk to you about. First, the Nefarious movie. Salem has partnered with them to help promote the Nefarious movie. I urge you guys to go check out this movie this weekend, the Nefarious movie. It is a psychological thriller that is going to take you on all types of twists and turns. It's in the vein of C.S. Lewis's Screw Tape Letters. It is rated R, so it is. It gets you, all right. It gets you. This was one of the best films, psychological thrillers that I've seen, and I love it. It is a I guess you could call it a Christian film, but people aren't even going to realize that they're being smacked by the gospel. The characters in this film, the main actor is just so captivating as he plays this murderer that's getting ready to get executed. And then he's being dealt with by this psychiatrist or counseled by this psychiatrist. He turns to the psychiatrist and he's like, before you leave here, you're going to have committed 3 murders. And then the movie just goes into all types of twists and turns. And you're like, oh my freaking God, you're going to love it. All right. So the nefarious movie. And now, if you want to be inspired, we've got another one, Pardoned by Grace. All right. You can buy the DVD and help out a ministry. I know that you'll love to help out. But listen to this. From the makers of Graham Family Films comes a powerful and inspiring true story that will touch your heart and renew your faith. Introducing Pardoned by Grace, the incredible journey of Scott Heiberger, played by Joey Lawrence, a convicted criminal turned prison minister who defies all odds and receives an unlikely pardon to continue his ministry. Featuring Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Michael W. Smith as Heiberger's pastor, Pardoned by Grace showcases the transformative power of redemption and the boundless reach of God's love. Watch Pardoned by Grace on Salem Now, and when you purchase a copy at salemnow.com, a DVD will be donated to Scott Heiberger's nonprofit prison organization Behind the Wire Ministries, providing hope and support to the incarcerated. Together, we can share the power of faith and forgiveness with those who need it most. Visit salemnow.com to purchase your DVD and donate to this incredible cause today. Okay, guys, before we close out, let's recap real quick. I want you to understand the tactics that the left is using, because we can't continue to fall for this stuff if we're going to save this country. All right, so just to recap, Christians targeted by a left-wing radical. All right. The left doesn't want that because it was a chick pretending to be a dude. The left cannot have that narrative out there. So what do? They totally ignore that story. They hash up a story. They choreograph, in my opinion, this outrage over gun control at the state capitol. All right. And so now all of a sudden we're focused on gun control instead of protecting our schools. Instead of expanding Second Amendment rights, you have a Governor Bill Lee who at first wants to put armed guards in schools, and then all of a sudden he's acquiescing to the left. It's amazing. So we forget about the Nashville Six. We start focusing on gun control, and then you get the rabble-rousers and Justin Jones and Justin Pearson that damn near incite a riot at the state capitol. Gloria Johnson, the white lady, working in cahoots with both of the Justins. They get expelled because they're using the bullhorn. They're using the signs. They're inciting the people nearly to violence in the state capitol, getting them all worked up where state troopers had to be brought in. She doesn't use the bullhorn. She doesn't use a sign. So she's not expelled. But since she's not expelled, racism. So now we go from white Christians being targeted, one black, but 5 white Christians being targeted by a radical leftist, to all of a sudden stories of gun control, stories of racism, and then the Tennessee 3 that drown out the Nashville 6. Look at what the left is doing. They are stomping on the graves of those Christians that were assassinated. Do not let them do it. If you're listening in Tennessee, I need you to start blowing up your phones to these state legislatures. This cannot stand. This cannot stand. We got to stop allowing the left to reframe the narrative just so that they can gain power with the fake Justin Pearsons of the world that aren't even comfortable in their own skin. So they allow themselves to be controlled by the left. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. All right. This has been a fun one. I will be on Officer Tatum's show tomorrow evening, so make sure you check that out. We'll have another podcast for you. We're going to be talking about, are we looking at World War III? Are we facing World War III with national policy expert or national security expert and foreign policy expert of the Heritage Foundation and veteran, James Carafano. So you have that to look forward to. But please spread this message far and wide. Please spread this podcast far and wide. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Carl Jackson Show, on YouTube. We're also on Rumble. We're also on anywhere that we are on social media. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me. And please, I'm sorry. We're on social media, The Carl Jackson Show. Did I say everything? I got YouTube. I got social media. Oh, the podcast. Sometimes I just forget. Forgive me, guys. And the podcast, wherever you find this podcast, please subscribe to it. We would really appreciate you helping us spread the message and share this message. We've got to fight back against the left. And I'm not talking about with guns. I'm not talking about with fists. But these people use communist tactics. We need to know them so that we can march right past them so that we implement our agenda, which is the constitutional principles, Judeo-Christian values, so that we can restore this great nation. All right, guys, until next time, do not grow weary doing good. God bless you.